Hi, welcome back to On The Volley. I'm here, as you can see, in my back garden. I'm not in the pub. I'm here to talk about that man, Ange Postecoglou, yeah? So, I did a video during the game. Okay, I thought the game was, okay, Spurs won. They picked up the trophy. Really fucking happy for Ange. It wasn't a pretty sight. I believe it was a Luke Shaw on goal. I've seen people saying, Brennan Johnson, but I saw the replay. So, personally, for me, it was an own goal, yeah. I'm happy that Brennan's, it's been given to Brennan. He's taking it. And if I was Brennan Johnson, I'd take it as well, yeah. So, because he did play a part in the goal, yeah. But like I said, even with a Scottish FA Cup final, did the same thing. It's like about over 30 clips, and I just thought, no, I'm not going to send it to keeper. He's working 7 days a week. I just don't want to, overload the guy. Yes, I thought I'd just do a video now. But what I did do is I did a half-time short interview and full-time short interview with a Spurs fan who was over in Rome. Okay, was going to a wedding. Mankar Stevenham, from Romford. So I'll be. Well, people will be, adding that in here. So, just you'll hear what he has to say. Look, so there's been 2 big debates going on at the moment. Big debates. There've been 2 debates. One is big, yeah. One is big. The other one is like, okay, it's a debate. Okay, it's not big whatsoever. Now, let's start with the not big whatsoever debate, yeah. Not big whatsoever debate is who had the better season, Arsenal or Spurs. And I think it's a ridiculous debate if you ask me. I don't even know why they're doing it. Okay, and I'm listening to some of the pundits and so on and so forth, and who's saying, oh, Arsenal had the better season because they finished second. Spurs finished 17th, okay, it's a league that counts, so on and so forth. But then you've got other people saying, well, hold on a second, Spurs have won a trophy, they've won a European trophy, and they're in Champions League. Arsenal came second, yes, they're in the Champions League, but they didn't win a trophy. So I suppose there's 2 ways you can look at it, yeah? It should be, logically, it should be split in 2, yeah? Okay, the way I see it. Who had a better season in the league? Well, that's Arsenal, because they finished second. Spurs finished 17th. Who had a better season when it comes to trophies? Well, that's obviously Spurs, isn't it? Now, if we want to judge it and say, okay, who had a better season, okay, period, overall, okay, taking everything into account, I'm probably going to get crucified for this. I'm probably going to get a lot of people that disagree with me. But if I had to say who had the better season, I've got to say Spurs. As much as it hurts me to say that, I've got to say Spurs. Why? Because they won a trophy. They won the Europa League Cup final. And a lot of people, okay, right, are, belittling, okay, the Europa League Cup final trophy. And I'm like, seriously? Seriously? I'll tell you what. Most of the teams in the Premier League would have loved to go to the Europa League Cup final and lift the trophy up, yeah? Okay, it's not the Champions League, but it's still a major trophy. So I can't see how anyone can belittle or diminish, okay, that achievement. I think it's just ridiculous. Because if it's that, if we're going to diminish it and belittle it, why do we even take part in it? Okay? So maybe, English FA should say, well, you know what, we're not gonna participate, yeah? That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? And I'll tell you what, it causes uproar as well, yeah? Just think about the fans, okay? They get their away days, they get the pleasure of going to other stadiums, okay, and seeing their team perform against other European teams. Okay, they might not be at the level of the Champions League, yeah? It might not be Real Madrid. It might not be Barcelona. But it is a level which it is, okay? Now, people saying that Spurs didn't beat anybody, you know, of any relevance. Oh, come on, please, man, please. Look, they beat Eintracht Frankfurt, who finished third in the league this season, yeah? Spurs finished 17th. You know, Eintracht Frankfurt had a really good season, yet Spurs overcome them. They beat Bodo Glimt. Everyone has been, you know, slagging off Bodo Glimt, you know, Norwegian. And, you know, I did the same thing. I didn't rate Bodo Glimt until I saw them play. Let's not forget, they've beaten some teams, yeah? They knocked Celtic out. Like I said, they beat home and away. They beat Roma. They beat Roma 6-1. If I remember rightly, I think, I think they lost that in Rome. Yeah, I can't remember. But they beat Roma 6-1. Did they lose when they played it? The second game, or draw 2-2? I can't even remember, to be totally honest. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it? We're talking about a team that is underrated, okay? And yes, it is a small team. Yes, their budget is nothing compared to the Premier League teams. But to turn around and say that they're a nobody, okay, is basically insulting the Bodo Glimt players, okay, and their fans. They're there, okay, and they have performed really well, okay, against teams way above them, okay, when it comes to the quality of players. Because let's be honest, the amount of money, okay, difference in the budget is major. So I don't agree with the fact that you have people saying, oh, well, you know, they beat easy teams. There were no teams there that were of any competition. And then, yes, they went to the final and beat Manchester United. And yes, Manchester United haven't been all that this season, but you can only beat who you have in front of you, yeah? And let's not forget, Man U beat Atletico Bilbao, okay, to get to the final, which is no small feat, in my opinion, yeah? Now, don't ask me where Atletico Bilbao are in the league. I don't know. I didn't even bother to go and check because I don't care, okay? All I know is that Ange brought a trophy to Spurs. And I've been saying this from the moment that Ange has arrived at Spurs. If you look at any of my videos in the past on Ange, okay, I've always said Ange will bring them trophies, will bring them success. Now, before this final, you had all, you know, pundits, okay, fans in the comment section saying, oh, even if Ange wins the Europa League Cup final, they want him sacked. From the moment that they won and they picked up the trophy, I looked at the emotions, okay, on the in the stands, yeah, grown men crying, tears of joy, okay. Let's not forget, it's been 17 years since they've won a trophy, which was the Carabao Cup. It's been 41 years, you know, since they've won a European trophy. You know, some of these supporters have never seen their team win a trophy. So for them, that joy, that relief, that euphoria, it was there. And then, you know, the camera panned to the Man United side stand, yeah, the stand, and the supporters. You had people crying there as well. But because their team had lost, you know, you could see the pain, the suffering of the Man United supporters. And unfortunately, that's what football brings when you're in a final. And I don't know if you saw it, Ange Postecoglou made the effort to go around and console the Man United players, okay, and just, you know, speaking in their ear, just you know, giving them a little bit of consolation and support, which I thought was a class act from Ange Postecoglou. But I've always said, he is a class act. Ange is a class act. He's a breath of fresh air, okay, in the Premier League. And this is why a lot of the fans who are Ange out are now Ange in. This is why pundits on YouTube channels have come out publicly, you know, on camera, and have publicly apologized to Ange. Expressions, all the Spurs fans know Expressions. I mean, that man is a Spurs man, and he gets, oh, God knows how many thousands, hundreds and thousands of views and all that, and how many subscribers, I don't know. I've watched his video every now and then, I don't look at the numbers, but even Expressions came out and publicly apologized to Ange, yeah? So look, he's changed the mentality, okay, and the way of thinking of a lot of these supporters and pundits. The ones that were Ange out, a lot of them have changed their mind, and they said they want him in. And if you looked at the game on Sunday, yeah, let's be honest, okay, who gave a fuck about that game and what the score was? Okay, they lost 4-1, went 1-0 up, okay, right? They could have scored 2 more, okay, one in the first half, okay, Brennan Johnson in the second half, okay, scuffed his shot. I think Matthias Tell in the first half, okay, right, but I think he hit it inside net or something, I can't remember. Okay, so they could have actually, you know, scored 3 goals, but obviously, as time went on, you could tell that they were still suffering from celebrating the Europa League Cup final win. And you can't blame them. And then Ange turned around and said, they're probably also emotionally drained. Because let's be honest, this season has been a hard season for the players, okay? Their saving grace is that Ange Postecoglou has always defended his players. He's taken all the flack, okay? He's gone out there and he's, you know, always talked up his players. And on some occasions, he's turned around and he's been saying, oh, you know, we played well, the players played well. I'm thinking, well, hold on a second, Ange, what are you talking about, man? Okay, some of the games. Now I understand why he did that. Now, in his post-match interview, you know, and a pre-match interview, yeah, he was asked if Levy had spoken to him yet. Levy, okay, hasn't. He was asked if he thinks he's staying again. He said, look, I don't know. You can't ask me that question. Only one person can answer it, okay? So you're asking the wrong person. I believe, okay, we're building something here. I believe this is the start of something big for Spurs. And I'd like to, you know, be the man to take it forward. That's it. And I'll tell you what else, yeah? During and after the 4-1 loss to Brighton, the fans were still singing. They didn't care about that score. It didn't make a difference whether they won or lost that, you know? So nobody cared. They were still celebrating. And if you looked at the banners, okay, the banners was Ange in, oh, thank you, Ange, okay, in Ange we trust, okay. It was all pro-Ange. Now, on the screen, apparently, okay, you know, all the faces that came past, okay, they were getting like, you know, cheers and that. Levy comes on and they start booing him. So they cut that straight off, took him off the screen straight away. It just goes to show, they know who to thank for this, okay? It's not Levy, it's Ange Postecoglou. You know, and to think that that is the love, that is the faith that the fans are showing to him. And another thing which, you know, was quite, what's the word for it? Significant. You know, they were playing songs after the game, you know, which the fans have taken and adapted to, like James Madison, so on and so forth. I think it's Angels by Robbie Williams, which is the one for Ange, they didn't play that. Now that, for me, is quite significant. Now, I'm talking about the debate, okay, the most important one, which is Ange, whether he's going to stay or go. Yeah, maybe I didn't point that out earlier on. The question is he going to get sacked, or will Levy keep him? Ange has made it public that he wants to stay, okay? And he made a wicked mic drop at the parade, yeah, where he turned around and said, you know, the third season of any good TV series is always better. Boom! He should have just dropped that mic, but he passed it, you know what I mean? He should have dropped the mic and then just turned and walked, you know what I mean? But hey, you know, the message is out there. He wants to stay. The fans want him to stay now. Some fans know. I spoke to my boy Des, okay? He's a gooner. He's got friends that are Spurs supporters, and he'd send me like photoshops of them complaining and, you know, of the text messages. And I said to Des, talk to your boys, man. Talk to him. They've got to have faith in this man, yeah? You know, they don't think he's going to win this. I said, look, keep faith in the man. He will bring them trophies. Me as an Arsenal fan, you know, if Ange was to leave Spurs and go to another Premier League team, because I'm pretty sure, okay, somebody would. I reckon the Man United fans would want him at Manchester United tomorrow, you know. It just means that we don't have to worry about Spurs winning trophies in the near future. Because trust me, if Ange does stay there, that he will bring them success. People are looking at this, oh, he's finished 17th, he's lost 22 games. Yeah, it's been a weird season for them. So many bloody injuries, it's unbelievable. He changed his method of playing in the Europa League Cup, yeah. I mean, Jose Mourinho would have been proud of him parking the bus the way he did against Man United, but he did what he had to do to win. I'll tell you what, if Levy was to sack Ange Postecoglou, he'd be mad. He would be mad, absolutely mad, okay? You know, what have the Spurs fans been asking for from Daniel Levy? Trophies. Trophies. And he hasn't had any, okay, in 17 years. But you know what? I really don't think Levy cares about trophies, okay? I really don't. You know, Levy's a businessman, you know, the concerts, so on and so forth, the commercial investments, you know. Is Levy really a football man? I don't know, okay? He's definitely a businessman, that goes without saying. But that's not what the Spurs fans want. They want someone who, okay, is a football man. Now, I had a thought, yeah, and I could be wrong, don't get me wrong, this is just my idea, yeah? I'm thinking to myself, well, hold on a second. If Levy keeps on Ange Postecoglou and they're in the Champions League next season, yeah, they're going to have to dish out some dollars. They're going to have to spend money, okay, on some serious players. So they're going to have to spend some serious money. Now, if Levy sacks Ange Postecoglou and gets another manager in, okay, like Iriola or Thomas Frank or Glasner or somebody like that, he will not have to spend as much money, you know. So he'll be saving money, okay, and also the wages he'll have to pay these players will be a lot less. So what is Levy's way of thinking? Could that be what's driving him? Because I tell you what, anybody who wants success, wants to bring trophies in, yeah, wants to win the Champions League, will go in, okay, and will strengthen the squad with players that cost money and demand a certain wage. To be totally honest, I think it's ridiculous that, from what Angie's saying, no one's spoken to him as yet. I heard even, okay, in the program, you know, their program when they played Brighton, you know, he said, thanks, Ange. That's what I heard, yeah, thanks, Ange. That's it. That's it. He's written nothing else. 17 years since the last trophy, 41 years since the European trophy, and that's all you got. Well, I'll tell you what, that to me tells me that Levy has no intention of keeping Ange. I hope I'm wrong, yeah, for Ange's sake. I hope he doesn't, for Arsenal's sake, as an Arsenal supporter. Yeah, I hope he doesn't keep him for, you know, as an Arsenal supporter. I hope he keeps him for Ange's sake. But you know what? If Levy does bring in another manager and they don't do well next season and don't win any trophies, okay, in the next few years, I think the Spurs fans will rebel, and they'll have every right to. They finally tasted glory. They have a manager that can bring them glory. They have a manager who, he's honest. He's out there, okay? He defends his players, 100%. I also read something, and I don't believe everything I read, yeah, but I heard that the dressing room is split on Ange, yeah? You know, you got 3 or 4 players that are 100% behind Ange, 3 or 4 players that aren't. You know what? I don't know whether I believe that or not, but I tell you what, the 3 or 4 players that are behind him, okay, personally, I think they're all are. I mean, if you looked at how they played in some of the games where they said, you know, that he'd lost the dressing room and all that, so I think that's all crap anyway. I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't believe it. I don't want to believe it. I don't think it's true. Look, I don't really have a lot more to say, you know. As an Arsenal fan, congratulations to all the Spurs fans. Okay, right? Now, I forgot. I'm just going to add, actually, I might do it separately, the 2 interviews with Stephen. Or I might add it on here. I'll see. We'll meet, not me, keeper. Anyway, look, that's it from me, Shah. I'm out.